I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and please hit like. So this is a watch repair channel among other things. So here I've got a vintage like it's 3 months old wristwatch. So this is a wristwatch that got pretty much destroyed by a gentleman who I believe threw it against the wall. Hated his watch. So here we go. This is the rear or back of the watch here. Nice see-through crystal here on the back. This is the front of the watch, or the crystal and bezel of the watch. Again, could be cleaned up a bit, but there's scratches here. So it's been through World War III. There is the crystal for the watch. Or the dial, actually, not the crystal, the dial. And the dial feet are here, and broken off. So I've got to get new dial feet on this watch, because without the dial feet, it's not going to align properly. And there's here's the case. It's got a nice leather strap here. So that's kind of nice. And then the movement it's a seagull movement, and the movement has the stem stuck inside. So let me just mount this movement up. See, I can see there's the movement there. And I know this thing will run. If I just put a little power on here, it'll run. Let me see if I can do that just for a second here. Put a little bit of power on the watch. And there it goes. So I just turned it ever so slightly and it's running. So seagull movement, it runs. And what I did is I procured a new stem. So I want to be able to put that stem in the watch, size it, and I need a crown for that as well. So I need to size the stem and crown. So those are the jobs. So basically stem and crown job, plus I need to weld on some dial feet onto this baby, because the dial feet were ripped off. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now once again I can use my Myers number 58 movement holder. I need to trim my guitar nails, because they're getting pretty long. And if you follow my channel, you know that I play guitar. And get rid of these because they're too big, and get another adapter that might fit properly. So this one here is probably the right size. Just horking around today. Horking around. I got my old phone number on there, upside down. So there we go. So put these in, see if this works. This one here, and then this one here. Sorry about the top of my head. I should move the camera down a bit here. Live action professional filming. There we go. That's a bit better. I apologize for the previous look. So what I want to do is mount this in this movement holder kind of upside down, so I can work on the yeah, I'm not sure if this will hold it nicely, because I want to work on the stem, crown and stem. So I might be better off actually just putting it on a pad and working on it that way. Not quite sure. Let me just put it in and I'll keep the balance out of the way so it doesn't get squished. Let's put it in like that maybe. No, it's hugging it. Feels like it's hugging it. Alright, so I gotta somehow get the stem out of here. I'd rather not have to disassemble everything to get the stem out. So let me think, how can I do that? The stem would normally flip out if you press the button down, and then boom, there it goes, stem's out. So, but there's no button there, so I'm going to lower my seat now. So if I remove this upper plate, I'm probably going to get access to some of the movement here. Well, let's just take the plate off here and see if I can get access to that stem somehow. And put the screws out of the way. Now this is hooked in here, if you look at that. So best thing for me to do is to take a picture of this, because if I don't, I'm going to forget how the heck it goes together. Yeah, there we go. Now this has got quite the bend in it here. So if I could get the stem out without farting around with that, it would be great. But I think the stem comes out. There's a screw on the other side. Let me do this first, okay? Before I take this plate off, I can see where the screw is for raising up the, taking the stem in and out. So let me just put this back in again so I don't completely screw this up. My voice is higher today for some reason. Not sure why. Sometimes it just gets higher. Alright, if I look at where the stem goes in, there's a screw right here. And that's the screw when you want to remove the actual crown and stem. You loosen that screw. Like that, and that allows the plate to rise up just like it did. Probably loosened it too much. Let me tighten that up a bit here, because I don't want to lose it. Yeah, of course I loosened it way too much here. Oh my God. So let me just take it out of the way. This can be painful sometimes. That goes like that, and it gets put in place, and then this little knobby goes over the top. But if I can remove the stem and then put that back after. It's actually pretty funny because I can see the stem in there, but my tweezers are not small enough. Well, I got another pair from Oliver, if he's watching this. Oh my God. Alright, I'm taking the upper plate off. Sick of farting around with that. funny, in my watch repair work, I worked on, I believe, 4 Rolexes, which always make me nervous. It's important for me to remember where I put the gears, these gears, little gears here, because you got to put them back from whence they came. Now I can see the end of the stem here. Now can I get a screwdriver in there and maybe wedge it out? Who knows? I get rid of this thing here. There we go. There is the stem, and what I'm going to do now is take the stem I've procured and just put that in there as an interim stem. There we go. And now what I want to do is put this stuff back. So I'm going to get a stick out here. Not sure if I can get any closer with my camera without disturbing things. But what I want to do is push this back and not lose the spring. So I might be able to do that by holding the spring down like that. And just push the arm back. These things are tricky, by the way. Of course you wouldn't do it work. Yeah. I think it was like that. And the spring, the spring also just flew. And I know that when springs fly, it's not good. That is why I did not want to take this out. I think this goes the other way, and then I got to hunt for the spring. I heard it land somewhere on my table. Anyone who's a watchmaker understands the spring issue. I should have put some Rodico down to hold that spring in place. Okay, there we go. That's not there. And now I've got to go find the spring. If I'm lucky, I find it. Well, I found the spring on my desk in all the mess I have behind me. I managed to find it. I can't believe that I found it. There it is there. So the spring goes in. It goes alongside and right between. Goes right in there. And then this bends up and then interfaces with this here. This is a disaster waiting to happen. I'm going to get a piece of Rodico out here and just lay that down over the spring. I know if I don't, the whole thing will be like flying. I'm going to have to use 2 tweezers here for this, I think. Oh my God. Not easy, folks. Not easy. Okay, so that's in. That spring is in. Now I have this wheel that I got to put down. Like that. And then I've got to grab this friggin' other plate with a spring on it and put this down. Of course, the Rodico is in the way, and the minute I move that Rodico, that spring's gonna fly. Nope, didn't fly. So there it is there, and that spring is kind of captured under there, so let me just get this screw in. Like that. And then I'm going to tighten the screw. Before this whole thing friggin' flies up again. Oh my God. There, it's in. And now this thingamajobby doohickey has got to go over the top here like that and be screwed into this. So I think I could probably screw it in a bit and then shift it maybe. Not quite sure. I need to I don't think I can screw it in if it's underneath, unless I completely loosen the screw here. I think it just stays where it is though and turns. Yeah, that's why it's really good to have the manual and the technique for actually putting the setting mechanisms back together again. If you don't have the manual, it becomes a job and a half because you're really not sure how to do it. You're just guessing. But I know this has to go underneath here. If I move this out of the way, how far up will it go? That's the question. That is the question, is. It's got a bit of tension on it, so. This definitely has to go underneath. I may have to think about this for a second, because I don't think it's going to work the way I'm doing it. I'm going to get a needle. You got to have needles to do stuff like this. Hope you're enjoying this challenge here. That's why I like working on pocket watches. They are just sometimes just as difficult, but they probably don't upset me as much as this watch movement is going to. There we go. That goes like that. And then I know it pushes back to line up with the screw right there. So I may have to hold that in place while I go underneath and turn that screw. So I'm going to go off camera for a second. Alright, there we go. So I put that in now. I got the screw on this side tighten a bit. Now remember, this has not been wound a lot, but if I pull out like that, just pull out like that, you can see the mechanisms working, and push in like this. So all I need to do now is do some crown measurement, but I know if I loosen this slightly, I can take the stem out and do some measurement, right? And there is the old stem, and where it broke off, right in the center. So that was just mangled. That was the problem with that. So I do need to find a reasonable size crown for this thing. I've got to fit that in so the crown is extended out, and I cut it at the exact right place. So let me go to my world of crowns. So here I have my department of crowns. Swiss made, German made, all kinds of different crowns. I'm not sure which crown I need for this, but it looks like the crown needs to go over the top of this pipe here. So it's one of these crowns. If I look at these ones here, like this, they look to be a bit too small to fit onto the stem, so these won't work. These are tubes. I don't need a new tube, but I've got a million tubes here. These are what? That's a tube, crown, and everything else set here. This was for a different watch problem. It's waterproof. I'm not sure if this would work. I like the crown on it, but it's funny, I don't go into this stuff very often. Tell by how my package won't open. There we go. So I probably got this for another watch, like a dive watch or something. I dropped something? I did. Yeah, there it is there. That was for some dive watch I had. So it says, well, it's an NH35 crown, which may or may not fit. I'm not sure. If I look at this here, what size is this? That's the question. What size is this? Standard crown size or not? No, I think it's too. Let me see here. It might be the right size. It's weird. This looks like it wants to go on, but this is a Chinese movement, so. No, the threads are wrong here. So Chinese movement, this is an NH35, which is a Seiko made. It's made by a Seiko company. So it's a different crown. So this is crown hunting. Not sure how interested you are in watching me crown hunt. So I'm going to go into my crowns here and see if I can find something. I do have a jar of these old pocket watch crowns. I like these crowns. So one of these might be a good option. I haven't looked at these in years. I could just spill them out, just drop them on the movement, why don't you? And see if any of these would meet the grade. Hard to say. Sometimes it's just you're just guessing. I could measure the stem size. Look at that one fits. Let me wind up the movement a bit here while I got it. And take this crown, put it back into the source. I do have a lot of crowns. I know I've procured a lot of parts over the years just for this exact moment. So that crown works. It's not a great looking crown. It'd be nice to have a different color than that if I could find another crown, but I want to just unscrew this crown here. And I'm going to take this and see what kind of an interface do I have with this. That, my friends, is a shitty interface. I want the crown to go into the tube and then go over the tube. And it's doing neither. So this crown kind of sucks because of the tube. It fits nicely on the stem, but it sucks because of the tube. Let me just dump these things out and see if I can find something more appropriate. So I want this to fit on the tube. If it doesn't fit on the tube, it's not going to work. I do have more crowns, but it's a pretty big tube size. I know I could buy one from China. It's option 4. Here's an old vintage crown here that might work. No, this one doesn't fit in the tube. So it fits over but not in. And then I've got ones that, let me see what this one looks like. No, this does not fit in. This one looks like it fits in but would not go over. Having no luck with these things. This is a big one which I like. Fits over but not in. Somewhere on the floor of an apartment there is the crown that was for this watch. Oh my God. See this one here? No, this will not work. The only good news so far is I got the stem back in. Now this one is interesting looking. So this one fits in but not. This is way too small for this particular stem. Yeah, that won't fit the stem. I may want to just take all these crowns and toss them back in the jar. Try plan B. Well, I've got a boatload of more pocket watch crowns here that I think won't work. This one fits inside and outside, so the question is it the right size? And no, it's way too small. Way too small. This could be fun to fit this. Fun to impossible. This one looks like it'll fit on the stem, but I doubt. It's actually too big for the stem. Now, if I was a half-decent watchmaker, I would just measure the stem and go from there. So that's this bunch, but this is for pocket watches. All right, this set is made in China. It's a whole bunch of different dimensions. There might be something in here that fits. So let me look at this stuff here. All right, this one here seems to fit over the pipe and may be adequate, although I don't think the internal one fits inside the pipe. So, but it's something like this one. So in searching for crowns and everything else, I found this old Elgin pocket watch I have, and guess what? Super radioactive. So I'm going to put this away from me. And there you go. As you can see, the watch is together again. I got it at a bit of an angle. You saw you just use Rodico to stick the thing in the bottom. I may solder on some dial feed after, straighten it up, but I have to replace the fourth wheel. It was snapped off and the dial was snapped off. I still don't know how the heck the dial snapped off. It had to be thrown. Just don't understand. So anyway, there it is. It's working really well. And it's just a couple minutes past 5. I got it at an angle, which is kind of neat, because when you look at it, your wrist is bent anyway. You don't have to do that. You don't have to twist your wrist. So I just have it at an angle. So it's a unique watch. The crown and stem are fine this way, so I could probably make it go in a bit deeper, but it's fine sticking it like that. It looks like a pipe. So anyway, that's the kind of recovery of a Chinese. It's supposed to be a pilot's watch, but anyway. It's a sort of recovery of the watch. But anyway, thanks for watching my video, and let's see if I can do better work on a different watch.